So we are going to make a start by looking at a church near you. Now, that is obviously a resource that is nationally available to every parish church. And the system runs on basically you having no prior skills, and it is intended to be as user-friendly as possible. So Sue is going to open a screen of a church near you page for a church which has got quite a good, well filled in section on facilities. So Sue's going to screen share, and then we'll swap to here where we can live edit St Andrews, and you can have a go. On.
This is St Martin's in Walsall. So we start with their homepage, and then we've got services and events. The thing that we're most interested in this is down in the facilities. And this is a church that is quite has many facilities, and its building is very accessible as a starting point. So they have toilets, they have accessible toilets. So this is the church near you site from St Martin's in Walsall. We've gone down to the facilities page, and here's their facilities and features. So they talk about their toilets, accessible toilets, their car park, which is around the back. They have accessible car parking, step-free access. They have a ramped entrance, is how they've worded it. They are welcoming to assistance dogs. They have an induction loop, and they have baby changing facilities. So they've told us what worship and music they have. It's interesting. They have other features down the bottom, and they use Zoom a lot. They have an audio visual facilities. I know that they have a signing for worship group, and that's not included here. So we'll have to look at what we can include and what we can't on the Church Near You site, which I'll be handing over. I'm going to stop screen share and then come back, and then Claire can screen share another church, which is a different building, which is Church Aston. St Andrews in Church Aston. Zoe's church.
Okay. Go to this and screen share. Okay. So before we get into our live editing, it's worth saying that from the perspective of disabled people, and this is something Claire and I have definitely talked about quite a lot, it's really important that you are offered as much information as you think you need. So for wheelchair users, for example, rather than just saying we have level access and wheelchair access, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have images. They make a very big difference. So having an icon or clicking a button doesn't do enough to reassure people like myself who need to know, but what kind of wheelchair access? Is that going to be going around the back of the church over a bobbly pathway up a steep ramp, or is it something else? So I think sometimes people are keen to click a box because there is an element of accessibility, but please don't be afraid to, and I would encourage all of us to do, sharing what it actually looks like. Even if it's not great, which, none of us have got everything all in place in every context. We know that that's not possible. But what is possible is giving accurate information about what we have. And that then gives people choices so that they can work out what barriers there are and how they can, they can or can't overcome them. So definitely for disabled people, knowledge is power. And if we can't find that information, we won't go usually, because it's very embarrassing to encounter a barrier and then your host is embarrassed, and nobody wants that. So if you do nothing else, adding photographs is really, really important. I'm going to hand to Claire to share how we add photographs, because the feature on the features page on the church near you is not what we need it to be on this. So we're gonna show you how you work around it until they have edited this feature.
So because we can't add any images onto the facilities page, the easiest way to provide the images is to go under the About Us. It's got an add page option. So you select to add a page, and you can then give it a title for the entrance to the church, the entrance to the church grounds, toilet facilities, but anything that people need access to, and therefore disabled people will need access to and would need to see if it is accessible for their particular needs. So you can put in the title and then add in page content. Either just take the page content that you've put for the facilities part about how accessible various parts are, or you can put in more description in the page content about the images that you're going to be uploading for what they'll be seeing. So like whether it's level access, whether there are steps, whether it's smooth concrete or rough tarmac, all these various things that would be important to somebody on wheels or managing on crutches and things.
Shall we have a go at doing that, adding a page to that?
Yeah, just add another one.
Yeah, so let's pick a heading.
So if we do the accessibility in the church.
Yeah. Let's go for that one.
That's better one.
Excellent.
See.
There and there. So you use one side of it there, the other side of it there.
Okay, so we'll do a hypothetical.
Yeah. So they need to. You need to include that from.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll tell.
from the curb. Well, first of all, if they're arriving in a vehicle, they need to know that they can get onto the pavement. So they need to know that there's a drop curb nearby.
Okay.
They need to be able to get from the pavement to the entrance of the church without any difficulties. So if there's any steps, you need to tell them that there's steps. If there's any height or inclines or declines, they need to know that as well. If you're in a manual chair, then any incline or decline is extra pressure on your arms. If you're in an electric chair, you can't go over any high bumps. Just won't do it.
So if we have, if you wanted to add a page specifically about drop curbs, or we're just hypothetically doing this one with you. So you've done your title, which you need to include. You've done your page content, and that's where you would add really full information in text. And then you have the option to then upload a cover image, a video, and you can upload up to 4 photographs for each new page. Now, it might seem like overkill for drop curbs, but as I say, people who have access needs basically rely on images, because what people say about themselves, well, you know, you can say all sorts of things about yourself, but just to see it is the most reassuring. So we'll click upload, and then we'll encounter something that is also really important about a church near you. So if you have got a title for your photograph, that is the title that will appear on your page. So make sure that you save the name of the photograph on your files, as the name that you want to appear. So that is the description, which a screen reader will pick up. And we'll talk more about screen readers in a moment. So we will just pick that one.
Or the drop code.
Right. So then you click upload.
No, just this when you save it, it'll take it.
Doing
So the other important thing is the cover image is behind the title. So whatever picture you choose for the cover image, it would also be helpful to have it in a downloadable image in one of the 4 images below as well on these file attachments.
So include it as one of your stock images,
so that they can open it up and have a proper look at the image.
Okay. So do people have a church near you open, and do they have logins available, and would they like to have a play with that for a few minutes, just for you to have a browse and familiarize yourself with what we've just talked about? And then if we've got any questions about that specifically, we can have had a look. So I will stop sharing for a moment.
Right. And just untick publish. And when you save it, I can't get to it.
I'll leave the Zoom button.
Oh, hang on. I'll just link it down so I can get. Let's go.
Oh.
How do you move it?
Like that.
Just like that. Cool. Yeah, so then I'm going to save it. It does take a minute to save because it has to upload all the pictures that you've added onto it.
Can I ask, can you delete it, Red? Because if you've completely messed up, are you able to delete that page at all?
Yes.
So we'll show you how to delete the demo page we've just made.
If you can see, it's in a different color. So the published pages are in a darker black color, and you'll see that it's in purple because it's on the page, but it will be in a grey color like the ad page because it's not published. And if you click on it, that's when you can edit it further, have somebody check it, and then click to publish it and then save it so that it's then published. Or you can delete the page if you're not happy with it. It asks if you're sure, and then it's gone. So it's very easy to like build up the page. You don't have to have it done all in one go. If you write the text and realize that you don't have an appropriate picture for it, you can just save what you've done so far, go and get the picture when you're next there and add it later. Should just go on one of these.
Yes.
This is what the view of it looks like for anybody going onto the website. So it will come up with the description and then pictures that they can click on to.
At this point, it'd be worth Sue showing us how to make photographs able to be described by a screen reader facility for those who are visually impaired. So if we stop share, Sue is going to talk you through doing that to any of your photographs. And then we will take a pause so you can let us know how you're getting on with playing or have specific questions that we can talk about.
So I found the right site that talks about, this is a government website that we'll talk about in a moment, more detailed, but it tells you all the accessibility needs that are basic needs, basic accessibility check if you cannot find a cannot do a detailed one. It has lots of words on it, especially as it's talking about accessibility. It has a lot of words, and we will talk about the main points that come from it. But if you haven't got, if you've got some vision impairment, you need to use a screen reader, or you're often using a screen reader. And that means that you have to fill in the alt text box. I'm just trying to find it where it talks about this. Videos and images. So you have to have this alternative text. So I don't know if you've clicked on a picture at all, but it tells you how to do this on this government site that we will share with you. When I've been in Word, and unfortunately I haven't prepared this, but when I've been in Word, you get a little grey box. Let me see if I can do it on there.
Yeah, if we could just demo any dummy photo, that would be helpful.
Can you see my Word that I've just put up or not? Can you see a document in front of you?
No.
It's still on the website. Let me stop sharing and start sharing again. Screen share. There we go. So this is a document that I have up. If I click on any of the words, it should be able to give me information about alternative text.
View
alt text. So that was me just right clicking. So using my information to give it a right click and going down to see the view alt text. And this has a description that was automatically generated, a sign on a wall. And I'd like to edit that to say a sign on the wall, just showing the sign to the church and to the toilets. So it's quite important to give really helps if you spell church right.
We can't see what you're typing. We can't
see
your...
what I'm typing.
No.
I'm sorry about that. Can you see can you see me highlighting at all? Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, I can, but I've got my phone in long ways.
Oh, that's it. Sorry. So what I was doing was right clicking, and then you get a box up that tells you.
Do you want to have another go? It's showing us. I think Simon was about to help.
Simon was able to. So can everybody see this box on the right of my screen?
Yeah.
So I can alter, and I need to be quite precise about what the photograph says. So in any of Zoe's photographs on the church near you, she's got a person standing in the door. So to show how high the door is and how wide the door is. So it's including those specific pieces of information to think, why am I using this photograph? Not just this is a photograph of. So in this Word document, we are using a photograph of signs on the wall, which is the automatically generated alt text. But actually, it's to show the sign to the church and to the toilets to orientate somebody who has cognitive impairment.
It would also need to indicate which way the arrow was pointing, so that.
Oh yes, you're right. So a sign on the wall outside the church, showing the signs to the church and to the toilets are the same direction. Okay. I will hand back to Zoe if that's okay.
So why don't you guys have a play with that? So if you want to turn your camera off, we'll just pause for a few moments, and then I think it's going to be most fruitful.
So Carrie has asked, can you add as many pages as you like? And would it be good to add access to Church Hall too?
Yes, the amount of pages apparently is unlimited. I have spoken to a church near you, and they are going to make that more clear on the help section. And it would be good to add for the church hall too. I have yet to take the pictures to add as. What's the next one? Where can
I access ready-made symbols such as wheelchair, arrows, etc.?
Do you know how to answer that, Zoe? Because I do.
Oh, please do then.
Yeah.
So there is, at the moment, it's there are calls around to get signs, but in the process, which is very exciting because it's something nationally that's happening, Derby Diocese is working on getting access symbols that are across the board for all churches. So either if you can use clip arts if you want, or there's wiki symbols, or I'll double check where we get symbols from.
Right page, and we'll put it.
But in middle of February, in a few weeks' time, I'm meeting with Derby Diocese, and we'll see where they are, and we'll be able to tell you very soon where the symbols, where it's possible to get symbols. But in the near future, there will be national symbols that you can use on a church near you. Do you want to? Any other questions?
Yeah.
Just something that I learned from reading the Gov website is that any text that's underlined universally means that it's a link. So ideally, you shouldn't underline anything unless it's a hyperlink to another page or website.
Another useful tip. Thank you.
Despite saying that it's the government website is wordy, it has so much information in it, which is why it's wordy. So if you are somebody who is in charge of websites and Church Near You site, it's worth looking and reading that page. Probably only if you've got that responsibility, because it is quite full on and you'd need to action everything. Jules has got a question.
Unmute yourself, Jules.
Hi. I don't actually. I was trying to unraise my hand. I'm sorry about that.
The joys and vagaries of online learning. Honestly. We are putting together a page of basic learning that you can as a really good start point if the government website is too much for you. We'll also be sending you a list of websites that can help with this. I wonder, just in the last moment before we switch to look at websites more generally, Simon, as you are the comms person for the Lichfield Diocese, and you signpost people towards a church near you, whether you could say a little bit more about what you can do with it, or why it's good, or access to additional learning.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of additional learning for church near you, the national team do a whole load of seminars and webinars and pre-recorded stuff that's out there. I mean, the whole thing about being able to tag for facilities or for particular kinds of service and all those kind of things, I mean, the range of tags available now is huge, which is kind of helpful, but also a bit bamboozling. The thing we're saying just now about things like using underline or not using underline except for hyperlinks is really good. And similarly for the accessibility, it's really good to make sure you use the heading styles that are built in, you know, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 to help organize your information. Because again, that helps people that are using screen readers to navigate. People that do that will often listen to the series of headings first before selecting which paragraphs within it, or under which headings they want to hear the web page, where you and I might just scan through the headlines and then stop when something looks interesting. So yeah, use the built-in headings for a web page or church near you, rather than just making text bigger or smaller. In fact, you can do the same with Word documents. You can set up a template. I mean, we all use it. We do, don't we? We all use it in the diocese. We've got some standardized templates that make all our documents look the same, but I also mean they're organized in a way that people can use the accessibility features. Did that answer your question? Was there something else you were asking for, Sue?
I think that
so we will include that information. So we'll
sure.
As well as, it'd be really helpful to share that document that you've got, Simon, that helps kind of make everything a bit more uniform and on brand. So there is a question in chat from Janice. Has anyone had problems with burglars using photos or videos to rob church by looking at access from websites? One of the PCC is concerned about that. I can say no. I would add that anything that a burglar or would-be burglar could find on your website, they'd be able to find by turning up and doing a visual recce and mooching around. So I think sometimes that would be a really great example of allowing one bad apple to spoil the barrel. So by seeking to not provide enough information to potential would-be burglars, which I'm going to generously say might be 0.5% of the population in your parish, probably less. There is very likely to be a minimum of 1 in 6 people in your parish who live with some kind of additional access need. So yeah, let's I hope that would be enough information to reassure your PCC.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, Carrie has asked, the alt text in Word works brilliantly. Can you do this on other software such as Canva or on our website? I'm going to see if Simon knows the answer to that, because I would only be able to answer that by doing a bit of trial and error.
I can't say about Canva because I've not used it, but on the website, yes. In fact, I'm doing one right now. Yeah, when you insert an image or when you into a web page on the diocesan website, there is space for alternative text, as well as all the things about how big the image is and all that kind of stuff. So yes,
I'm pretty sure I've used it in Canva, Carrie. So I think it's fairly mainstream across the board.
I think most professional software has got that option now. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have a quarter of an hour left, and it's for you guys to decide how best to use that. We did produce a summary of basic information and slides that talk about what the basic areas to cover are, a kind of reduced summary of the government website, which we can talk you through. Alternatively, we can you can have a conversation with each other about things that we always allow a little bit of time for that in our sessions, so that you can have a one-to-one conversation. But given this isn't a usual network meeting, looking at who is here, so I'm not sure how valuable that would be. Or we can carry on with some Q&A.
We've got the website stuff.
Yeah, so we've got general website information, so I think unless anybody has pressing questions that they really think it would be helpful to work through now, we'll do that, but we'll make sure that you have the gaps filled from the various things about this session that have not worked as they had been planned. Sue.
I'm just sharing a screen again.
While Sue is doing this, I just wanted to remind you all of an underlying principle for absolutely all of the work that we ever do. And so if the rest of the network folk were here, they would be saying, we know what that's going to be. but the best people to tell you about the barriers in your church, and if you think of the website as an extension of your church, the best people to advise you on this are the people who use them. So you will have people in your congregations who will be able to tell you about how accessible your website is, how readable it is, how the information is laid out, how easy it was to find stuff. And at St Andrews, one of our music group is blind and has regularly volunteers for places to do little audits of people's websites for them, but she does ours and regularly comes back with what isn't laid out properly for her to navigate. So do always, first principle, who is part of this community who would love to be a resource on this? So back to you.
So this is a Church Near You site that's an exemplar, which is St Martin's in the Field. Also their website is exemplar, and that would be the place you want to. We'll share the information for their website, but they have a really good accessibility site. Let me see. Changing? Why is this not changing? There we go. So for our neurodiversity celebration in October, I looked at St Martin's Walsall so that we had accessibility information that was accurate and as good as we could make it at the time. So what I've got here is a list of all the things that I looked at and could go onto their website. So how to get there, with a picture of the church so that people could see it, with alt text in so that people know where it is, with an address and what it looks like. Then talking about public transport, this is useful for everybody, but unfortunately often people need public transport, and be as specific as you can about the stations or the stops that are nearest, and then how to drive there and where the parking is. And this isn't as detailed as it could be, so it needs to have also the spaces and the step-free access, as I've learned just here. So we have photographs of how you arrive, and there's two ways to arrive at St Martin's. It's the front door, and this photograph shows that there's step-free access, and then we have the rear door with Zoe showing how wide the door is, which is very useful for wheelchair users. So as I've said, general access about information comes next. So this is where we are putting more longhand things, including toilets, baby changing facilities, induction loops, service sheets are produced in large print, and guide dogs are welcome and they can supply water. Quite useful if you've got a dog. So facilities, visitors with mobility issues, this is specifically for them, again with pictures. The toilet, so we've repeated information here, and the additional information, we've said that chairs are movable. It's very important to know if people know where they're going to sit, and how much fuss that's going to cause, because it's really uncomfortable when it causes too much fuss. There's a small step on the dais. It might be worth, and the doors are wide. It might be also worth saying, sorry, my brain got ahead of me, that welcomers are equipped, or welcomers are comfortable to move the chairs, or acknowledging that you've trained your welcomers in some way in this place, this way. Visitors with children, we've been specific about that. Visitors with hearing issues, which is induction loops, and telling them they will know, they may know, but it's polite just to say how to use their hearing aids with your loop. visitors with sight issues specifically, and visitors with children. I've repeated that twice. And then visitors with cognitive impairment. For this, they've got signs up at this church. There's more that could be said there. There could be relaxed services. There could be all sorts of things. But looking at our dementia-friendly churches, will have more information about this. So, as we mentioned, there is a website for gov.uk about basic accessibility check that you can do on your website. So basically, that's looking at your, as Simon mentioned, the titles, heading, and the style, making sure that it works for screen reader. And they've got a website called Wave that you can look at to double check that. Any photos, as we said, have alt text filled in. And then videos, if you can have subtitles, have audio description, or be aware of audio description as you're recording the video, so that anything that's a visual cue that's not that needs to be looked at is also an auditory cue. And then BSL if you have the capacity. I know that's not always easy.